The war between Iran and Israel is no longer theoretical. It is real. It began on June 13, 2025, and in just a few days, it has changed the future of the Middle East. This is Shadows of Strategy. Today, we take you inside the first 5 days of this historic conflict, through the bombs, the battles, the losses, and the truth. At dawn, explosions echoed across Iran. In the first wave of strikes, Israeli fighter jets and long-range drones crossed deep into Iranian airspace. Their targets: infrastructure in Esfahan, air defense systems in Shiraz, oil depots near Abbas. And most devastating of all, nuclear research centers near Natanz. But this wasn't just a strike on facilities. It was a strike on Iranian sovereignty. Hospitals were hit. Iran's state broadcaster was silenced. Entire neighborhoods shook with the roar of collapsing steel and sirens. By nightfall, Iran had counted more than 224 of its citizens dead, including scientists, guards, and civilians. And the message was clear. Israel had launched Operation Rising Lion, a direct military assault on the Islamic Republic. Tehran did not wait. Within hours, it launched Operation True Promise 3, the largest coordinated missile and drone barrage in Iranian history. Over 350 ballistic missiles and over 100 drones filled the sky toward Israel. Air raid sirens rang from Haifa to Tel Aviv. Explosions lit up the night as Israeli Iron Dome and Arrow systems struggled to intercept. Wave after wave of precision-guided munitions. Iran's Ministry of Defense stated, "We did not start this war, but we will decide how it ends." For many in Iran, this was not revenge. It was dignity. It was defiance after years of pressure, sabotage, and shadow war. And for the first time in decades, the Islamic Republic had responded not with restraint, but with overwhelming force. By June 15th, both nations were bleeding. Israel confirmed at least 24 of its civilians dead, with hundreds wounded. Many of the missiles that broke through hit residential buildings, fuel depots, and a military intelligence base outside Tel Aviv. Iran mourned its dead in mass funerals. Footage from Esfahan and Kermanshah showed entire blocks reduced to rubble. In Tehran, over 300,000 people fled in panic after rumors of another Israeli wave. Hospitals in Mashhad and Shiraz were overwhelmed. Iranian Red Crescent volunteers worked without rest, but fuel shortages, airstrikes on telecom towers, and road blockades made emergency efforts nearly impossible. This was not just a war between militaries. It had already become a war of suffering for ordinary people on both sides of the border. What many in the West didn't expect was how sophisticated Iran's response would be. It wasn't just about missiles. Iran used GPS jamming, cyber attacks, and even coordinated drone swarms to confuse Israeli defenses. But the most surprising element came from inside Iran. It's now believed that Mossad operatives in Iranian territory were targeted and neutralized in the hours before the Israeli assault. Some reports suggest Iran uncovered an embedded Israeli drone launch network, previously used for sabotage operations over the past year. This marks a major turning point. Iran is no longer reacting passively. It is actively dismantling the Israeli shadow war inside its borders. The United States responded quickly, though not militarily at first. President Trump, attending the G7 summit in Italy, left early and warned all Americans to evacuate Iran. 3 U.S. Navy destroyers, the USS Thomas Hudner, USS Arleigh Burke, and USS The Sullivans, were redirected to Israeli waters to bolster missile defenses. European leaders called for de-escalation, but few could ignore what was happening. The Middle East was at the brink of something far bigger. And behind closed doors, Russia and China issued statements blaming the escalation on Israeli aggression and criticizing Western double standards in responding to Iranian civilian deaths. For the first time in decades, the global narrative is not one-sided. In the fog of war, truth is often the first casualty. Western headlines focused on Israeli casualties and fear in Tel Aviv. But Iranian voices, civilians, doctors, teachers were largely ignored in global coverage. Photos of destroyed Iranian neighborhoods were labeled suspected military sites. Footage of funerals was buried in algorithms. But on Iranian social media, a different story spread. That of resilience, of a nation that would not bow, of people sheltering their children under stairs, but still standing tall. And for millions across the global south, Iran's fight is seen not as terror, but resistance. As the war enters its fifth day, all eyes are on regional actors. Hezbollah in Lebanon has remained silent. For now, the Houthis in Yemen have declared their unbreakable alliance with Iran. Iraq and Syria have placed anti-air units on high alert. But the most important front may not be in the air. It's the economic war now unfolding. Oil prices have surged by 11%. Tanker companies have suspended routes near the Strait of Hormuz. Gas shortages are hitting southern Europe and North Africa. Insurance premiums for Red Sea routes have tripled. This is not just Iran versus Israel anymore. This is the entire world feeling the heat. In just 5 days, the war between Iran and Israel has changed the shape of the region, and possibly the world. For years, Iran was blamed, sanctioned, isolated, but now it is speaking not in diplomacy, but in force. Whether the world listens or retaliates, only time will tell. But make no mistake, this is not just about two countries. This is about sovereignty, respect, and survival. And the longer it lasts, the higher the cost. For everyone. This is Shadows of Strategy. Subscribe for our next investigation. What happens if the U.S. joins the war? Stay aware. Stay sharp. And as always, we'll see you in the shadows.